It's Danny Cox for the Cardinals, and he'll be opposed by Steve Trout, trying to bring the Cubs their first win of 1987 from beautiful Wrigley Field. Stay tuned for exciting Chicago Cubs baseball. Steve Stone with Pulitzer Prize winning columnist Mike Royko. And Mike, you've been to this park over 500 times. I know your father used to take you here, but I don't believe you've ever seen it from this perspective. How does it feel to be in the booth?
This is first for me, and it wasn't an ambition because I never dreamed that I'd ever be up here doing a game, but it feels great.
Well, the biggest difference probably is that you could throw away your mistakes when you write a column, but today, whatever you say is going out over the air.
Well, also, when doing the game, I've got to be sure when I walk out of here I can walk straight. When I come here just to watch the game, I got to weave out of here.
Now, I know you've been keeping up a little bit with the Cubs, and you probably saw a little bit of opening day. What do you think about this 87 edition?
Well, if we're going to walk 11 guys every game, then we may as well forget about it. I just hope that was just a one-day aberration. But with the Cubs, you can put 8 really good ball players out in the field, some great ball players, and it's what everyone says. It comes down to pitching. They'll go as far as their pitching will take them.
You know, you mentioned something interesting when I asked you about being a Cub fan all these years, and you said it was the experience of coming to this ballpark. What's it like from a fan perspective coming to Wrigley Field and watching the Cubs play ball here?
Well, to me, the game was always the thing. Even in the days when the teams are disastrous, but there's nothing like this. There's no ballpark anywhere like it, and it's like a festival.
Steve Trout taking his warm-up pitches. Steve Stone along with Mike Royko bringing you all the action here from beautiful Wrigley Field. And you're lucky. You got a pretty nice day today. Opening day, it was a little cooler than this afternoon.
Yeah, and a couple of years ago, I was out here in my snowmobile suit.
That can happen. There you look at the starting lineups for the St. Louis Cardinals. Vince Coleman in left field, Ozzie Smith at shortstop, Tommy Herr second base, Jack Clark at first base, the rookie Chicago area product Jim Lindemann in right field, Tony Pena behind the plate, Terry Pendleton at third, Tito Landrum in center field, and Danny Cox on the mound. I don't think you could have asked for any better day here for the second game of the season. The wind is blowing across toward the left field corner. And there you look at the Cubs starting lineup. Chico Walker starting in left field on a platoon system with Brian Dayette. Ryan Sandberg at second. Andre Dawson in right field. Keith Moreland starting at third. Leon Durham at first base. Dave Martinez in center field. Sean Dunston at shortstop. Jim Sundberg behind the plate. Jody Davis looks like he's going to be out for 7 to 10 days. And Steve Trout on the mound. There you take a look at. It's Lee Wire behind the plate. And Jim Sundberg doing the catching. Sundberg being pressed into service because of the injury to Jody, and Jim says it's going to take him a while to get used to the pitchers, but he feels that he can kind of adapt relatively quickly. Vince Coleman swinging from the right side, looking out at Steve Trout, and we're about ready to start. Good fastball for a strike. Coleman 2 for 5 opening day. As he looks out at Trout, a lifetime .262 hitter against the Cubs. Count evens at 1-1. Mike, have you seen too many men faster than Vince Coleman around baseball?
No, and I imagine right now the Zonk at third base is just a little edgy.
Well, he's in on the grass, trying to take the bunt away from Coleman. Trout falls behind, 2-1. They're trying to get Coleman to hit the ball on the ground, take advantage of his natural speed. They have him standing up a little straighter. He got down in a big crouch last year, popped up a few too many balls for hitting instructor Johnny Lewis. Ground ball up the middle. Sandberg backhands it. Fine play, throws to first, and they got him.
That's why he's the best.
Good backhand by Sandberg as he fires to first. I don't think there's too many guys around can make that play any better.
No, he does everything. He's incredible.
Ozzie Smith takes a slider over the outside corner. Ozzie hitting .282 lifetime against the Cubs. 1 for 4 opening day. And the count evens at 1-1. Ozzie put on 15 pounds over the winter, trying to get stronger over the 162 game schedule.
I put on 15 pounds and I don't feel any stronger.
You don't think you'll be stronger in September?
I'll be 15 pounds lighter in September, I hope.
2-1 count on Smith. And Trout falls behind 3-1. Rich Hacker, the coach at first. Nick Leyva, the coach at third. Outfield straight away and fairly deep. Smith has got some pop from the right side. Ball 4, he walked in. That'll bring up Tommy Herr. Herr hitting .283 lifetime against the Cubs. Tommy 2 for 5 opening day. This sets up an interesting confrontation. Steve Trout, a tough pitcher to run against. Opposition only successful 50% of the time last year against Trout. 19 of 38 thrown out. And a slider misses down. Herr looking down at Nick Leyva. Big lead by Ozzie Smith at first. Can't let him get too much. And now Sundberg wants Trout to throw to first base to keep him close. Another throw over there, but Ozzie back. Well, spending all the time you did on the political race, do you have some time to look at some baseball this year?
I saw some of the spring training games, yeah.
I think the Cubs are going to have that kind of year in '87 that most of the fans are hoping they're going to have.
Well, if they have the kind of year I'm hoping they're going to have, it'll be great.
Trout falls behind 2-0. Rick Sutcliffe ran into difficulty opening day, falling behind these Cardinal hitters, and Steve Trout, after walking Ozzie Smith, is in the hole once again to Tommy Herr. Cardinals have 5 switch hitters, which means that there's no real advantage to throwing either type pitcher against them, except the left-handers who will hold the runners a little closer at first. Runner going. Chop to Moreland. No play at second base. Double clutches, fires across, and gets him at first.
Good arm. That's where that strong arm comes in.
Watch it again. Keith Moreland bobbling the ball. And you're right, Mike. If his arm isn't that good, Tommy Herr is safe at first base. That'll bring up Jack Clark, hitting .249 lifetime against the Cubs. Very dangerous hitter. And he will take the ball to right and right center against Steve Trout, even though he's primarily a pull hitter. Clark 0 for 3 as you see opening day. And he takes a fastball over the outside corner. Now, Lee Wire is generally known as a pitcher's umpire. He will give you the corners. Trout would like to take advantage of it, especially early in the ball game. Jim Lindemann on deck. It's a little too wide, and the count evens at 1-1. New York Mets on top of Pittsburgh. That game in the bottom of the third at New York. The Mets lead 2-0. Clark has a good cut, fouls it away, 1-2. It's going to be the first time you've seen a whole game from up this angle. Do you like what you see as far as perspective of the players?
Oh, it's a great perspective, yeah.
Just missing inside. Count evens at 2-2.
Although I usually like to sit behind the first base dugout to needle the opposition.
Not a bad place to be, especially for Cub fans and that great rivalry against the Cardinals. Strike 3. He got him on a slider, and Steve Trout and the Cubs are out of the first inning. No runs, no hits, no errors, and one left. We head into the bottom of the first. There's no score. Steve Stone and Mike Royko back at Wrigley Field. Danny Cox taking his warm-up pitches. Last year, Cox was 0-2 against the Cubs with a 3.27 ERA. Over the years, Mike, who are your favorite Cubs?
Probably first would be Ernie, then Hank Sauer and Andy Pafko.
Can you kind of equate what Ernie Banks meant to the Cubs all those years and what Ryne Sandberg means to the Cubs now, or is it a different situation?
Well, it's kind of a different situation because Rhino's lucky enough to have some pretty good ball players around him, where there were times when Ernie was about the only reason to come out here. And he was such a graceful man and a graceful ball player. I still see him. We play golf once in a while, and he's still the same sweetheart he was then.
You don't get into any money games with him because he's
the way he
golfer.
plays. He plays like a pro.
I've played with Ernie a few times, and he's down in the low 70s, so
yeah.
Any of you out there, don't get into a game with him. Chico Walker to lead off the first inning. And he looks at a fastball high and away. Cox throws a good fastball, but he's not overpowering. The ball moves if it's down. And he throws a curveball more than he throws the slider. Also has a very good straight change. And he's going to be helped with Tony Pena behind the plate. He falls behind 2-0 on Walker. Chico platooning in left field with Brian Dayette. Brian had a couple of hits opening day, and Chico, the left-handed counterpart. 3-0. Outfield straight away for Walker. Good fastball for a strike. Slice down the left field line. Vince Coleman coming over. And it's going to be back in the seats. You mentioned something interesting about Hank Sauer and a lot of things that people don't know about him.
Yeah, well, one of the things that fascinated about Sauer was that he didn't make it into the majors until he was almost 30. Some minor league manager told him to start swinging this 40-ounce stick, and he blossomed into a big home run hitter, which I think ought to give encouragement to Chico Walker, who's a little old to be breaking in.
Ground ball to shortstop. Ozzie throws across and gets him. You're not going to get much mileage out of hitting it to Ozzie Smith.
No.
That'll bring up Sandberg. Rhino hitting .276 lifetime against the Cardinals. And the wind's going to favor Rhino today. If he can get something inner half of the plate, he can drive. Pendleton in a step at third base. That's surprising. Rhino doesn't bunt too often. There you look at Pendleton, a fine fielding third baseman. Fastball misses the inside corner. Cox with a .290 ERA last year, despite a 12-13 record overall.
Now I'm going to go out on the limb and make a prediction.
Okay.
That Sandberg makes a run for the batting championship this year. Batting ahead of Dawson, I think he's going to see so many good pitches that this could be the year he leads the league in hitting.
He does everything so well. If he gets off to a good start, you could be right. Fastball misses down. Mike, one of your newspaper associates, George Will, is going to be filling in for Harry tomorrow night in Philadelphia. Any message for George?
Well, for the fans, bring your dictionary. George uses words I don't use.
2-1 count on Sandberg. Breaking ball completely fools him. Lee Wyers behind the plate. Ed Montague at first base, Dave Pallone at second, Dutch Rennert at third. So they've added a new umpire today. Lee Wyer joins this crew. Good piece of hitting, fouling off a good pitch. Count holds at 2-2. Other afternoon games, Oakland in a 2-2 tie with Minnesota. That game in the bottom of the third at Minnesota. Detroit, 2-1 over New York in Detroit. That game in the bottom of the third, and Cleveland put 6 on the board against Toronto in the first inning. They lead 7-2. Full count on Rhino. What do you think of the arm of Danny Cox so far?
Well, he's a good pitcher. Even last year, he had a 2.98 ERA.
This is with the breaking ball, and Rhino's aboard. That'll bring up Andre Dawson, lifetime .314 hitter against the Cardinals. He's hit 26 home runs with 105 RBIs against them over the course of his career. And he says he's just happy to be in sunshine, day games every day at Wrigley Field. And he's going to put some big numbers on the board this year. Fastball catches the inside corner. Rhino with a good lead at first base. Cox has an average move to first. He's not going to fool too many people. Sandberg looking over at John Vukovich, the coach at third. That evens the count at 1-1. There's John going through the set of signs. Tony Pena can take away your running game in a hurry. He has got a good, strong arm. Line drive left field, down the line, but curving foul. Mike, from a columnist standpoint, your all-time favorite Cubs character?
You mean off-the-wall character?
Yes.
I'd say Jose Cardinal.
I remember him losing a fly ball in a 747 one day. He said flying out of O'Hare. Ball gets away. Sandberg advancing to second. Now Dawson is out anyway with Sandberg at first base. Surprising that Tony would make the throw, risking a bad throw, but on the play, Sandberg advances.
Pass ball.
That will go as a pass ball. Danny Cox had really 2 types of seasons last year. He started out 0-4, worked his record to 2-7, but over his last 15 starts, he was 9-5. And he really came on at the end, giving Whitey Herzog and Mike Rourke, the pitching coach of the Cardinals, a lot of hope for this year. They're looking for big things out of Danny Cox. I think he's pretty much in line to have a good year. Keith Moreland, lifetime .266 hitter against the Cardinals, steps in with Sandberg in scoring position. And he takes a breaking ball low and away. Keith was 1 for 3 opening day with an RBI and a sacrifice fly. Good fastball for a strike. Would you call Moreland your workman-like ball player?
Oh, I've always liked Moreland. He doesn't, he doesn't have the greatest natural gifts, speed, things like that, but he works. He works. That's why I think he's going to be a good third baseman.
Line drive left field once again, curving foul.
And he's not trying to put up. I'm sure he could put up more home run numbers. But he's the kind of hitter that he'll go with where the pitch is, and he's a team hitter. He's a team hitter.
You're right about that. He's a situational hitter, and in this situation, Keith usually cuts down his stroke. Looks to take the ball to right center field if the pitcher stays away from him. 1-2 count, 2 outs, and Rhino at second. And there's a good fastball for a strike. The Cubs are down in the first inning. No runs, no hits, no errors, and 1 left. At the end of 1, no score. People, the folks in the bleachers, a beautiful day today. A lot of people without shirts on. How'd you like to sit out there today without a shirt on?
This time of the year, that's the place to be.
It's beautiful out there.
Yeah.
And a good crowd in the bleachers today. Not a bad crowd overall as Jim Lindeman steps in to lead off the top of the second inning. Lindeman, a big, strong young man from the Chicago area. Had a base hit and 2 RBIs in the opening game. Made a fine throw from right field, getting John Tudor out of some difficulty. So Lindemann looks at Steve Trout. Ground ball back up the middle, base hit.
He's just showing off for all his relatives, I think.
Well, he's left some passes. He left 28 passes opening day, and I'm sure a like number today. That'll bring up Tony Pena, who's looking down at Nick Leyva. Lindemann doesn't have the best speed in the world. In fact, I talked to Jack Clark about what Pena and Lindemann mean to this ball club, and he says, well, hitting together with Clark, Lindemann, and Pena, hitting 4, 5, and 6, they're going to hit into a lot more double plays than they're used to in St. Louis. Fastball misses high and away. Back 1-1. Steve Trout usually keeps the ball down. Last year, 54% of all the outs against Steve Trout were on the ground. So he's thinking about the double play right here. You got to believe that this addition is going to help this ball club, Tony Pena.
Yeah, both these teams help themselves with adding the key players.
Of course, Dawson and Sundberg for the Cubs, and Pena for St. Louis.
Well, you know, when Dawson landed in Dallas Green's lap that way, the first thing I said was, Dallas Green ought to play the Illinois lottery every week. You get a guy like that cheap.
You're not kidding. The fill-in-the-blank contract is a good way to negotiate. Runner going. Hit and run. Durham to second base. They got him at second. No throw to first. Good play by Leon Durham, and a good play on the other end by Sean Dunston.
Good play.
That ball almost
went somewhere else.
Almost hit Jim Lindemann in the head. Watch it again. Good reflexes by Sean Dunston because he had to avoid the sliding Jim Lindemann. And Terry Pendleton steps up, and he drives the ball to right center field. Dave Martinez on the run.
Oh!
He makes an outstanding catch.
What a catch.
What a play by Martinez. Here comes the throw back in, and Pena's safe at first, and you're not going to see too many better than that.
Wide receiver.
What a catch by Dave Martinez. One of the reasons why he made this ball club is his ability to go get him to either side in the outfield. And that time he got a great jump on the ball, and what a play. Tito Landrum, runner at first, 2 outs. Well, Steve Trout probably owes a steak dinner to Dave Martinez. That got him out of some trouble.
I'm glad they kept him. He had a bad, I gather he had a pretty bad spring training hitting, but you look at his stroke, and he looks like eventually he's going to be hitting the ball.
I think it's only a matter of time till he establishes himself with the bat. Good fastball over the outside corner. 1-2 count on Tito Landrum. Landrum taking over in center field. They tried to give the job to Vince Coleman, but he really played poorly out there defensively, so he was shifted back to left, and Landrum took over. That evens the count at 2-2. Landrum 3 for 3 opening day with 2 RBIs, reached base 5 straight times, and a couple of walks to go with his 3 singles. Good lead at first by Pena. Runner going, throw to second on the hop, and Tony Pena is in with his second stolen base of the year. Cardinals have been successful 3 of 3 against the Cubs. Watch the jump one more time. Pena looking back to see if Landrum's going to swing the bat. Sundberg couldn't get a grip on the ball. and short hop Sandberg. Watch it one more time. Sundberg and Sandberg. A lot of announcers going to have fun with that this year.
Yeah, the Swedish club will be happy.
Full count on Landrum. Ball 4, he walked him. That'll bring up Danny Cox. Well, you've already seen 2 pretty good defensive plays. Sandberg in the first inning and Dave Martinez this inning. The defense much improved for the Cubs this year.
It is. In right field, it's improved. Center field, it'll be better. Left field, it'll be better.
Ground ball up the middle. Dunson over to cut it off. Throws to first, off balance, and he gets him. No runs, a hit, no errors, and 2 left. We're through 1.5, and there is no score. Steve Stone and Mike Royko back for the bottom of the 2nd inning, and all of us at WGN Television and Radio most appreciative for the appearance today of Pulitzer Prize winning columnist Mike Royko of the Chicago Tribune. And Mike, you wrote a column, it's going to be in the paper tomorrow, about the loss of a great executive in baseball, Al Campanis, 46 years. Your perception on what exactly happened between Ted Koppel and Al Campanis?
Well, I saw that show, and I think Al Campanis was kind of a befuddled, confused man who didn't know that the subject was going to be some serious social issues. And while if you look at what he said in cold print, it sounds bad, but I don't think he had a chance to really explain what he was talking about. That was just a sense I got. He's used to being interviewed about players. Can they run? Can they hit? Can they throw? And suddenly he was into something that took him completely off guard. And Koppel is a very, very tough interrogator. And I think if Campanis had had a chance to talk a little longer at a more leisurely pace, he might have explained what he meant by those things. And I think that it wouldn't have come out the way it looks when you read it.
Do you agree with the move of Los Angeles Dodgers?
I think for public relations purposes, they really didn't have any choice. I don't believe that the man is a racist. I don't believe he thinks blacks can't manage. I think what he was talking about was maybe they don't get the chance or don't want the chance to go down to Peoria and work for small wages managing Bush League teams or minor league teams. But it was obvious to me he was confused. He may never have seen Koppel's show before. I've been on it. It is a tough situation. You don't see Koppel. All you see is a camera. And it's like being kind of grilled by the cops in the back room.
Full count on Leon Durham. Well, interesting situation, certainly unprecedented. And the only thing you can say is that baseball has lost a pretty good executive.
Well, the irony was he's an old friend of Robinson's. He went on there to talk about what a great person Robinson was. And he wound up getting canned.
Leon Durham draws a base on balls, and that'll bring up Dave Martinez, and he should get a big hand from this appreciative Wrigley Field crowd. He just made what's going to go down in the highlight films as one of the best catches of the year on a full sprint to right center field, robbing Terry Pendleton of at least 2 bases and possibly a triple. Good fastball for a strike. John Cook has taken the early Masters lead with a 69. Not a bad score at Augusta. Durham leads away at first. 1-1 count on Martinez, who had really 2 types of springs. As you mentioned, Mike, early in the spring he didn't do much, but about the last week and a half he started to hit the ball, and I think all this youngster needs is some confidence.
That's often the case with kids.
Runner going, ball's popped up, center field. Landrum drifting over, he calls for it, he makes the catch. Durham will have to retreat.
Just like I'm sure that Palmeiro will be up before the season's over.
I don't think there's any doubt about the fact that Rafael Palmeiro showed enough last year and in the minor leagues to make you realize that one day he's going to be a quality major league hitter.
Yeah.
know, he also got caught in the numbers game. The Cubs had an abundance of outfielders in spring training. The man hit .231, and they didn't want him sitting on the bench and platooning. And I think Gene Michael had a lot of confidence that Brian Dayette could generate some power for him, and he wanted to get him some playing time. You don't want to keep a youngster on the bench. They felt it was better for Palmeiro to spend some time in the minor leagues playing every day and honing his skills. Good fastball for a strike. Dunston 1 for 4 opening day. He doubled, later scored a run. A very quick, lively bat. Checks his swing. Nice pickup by Tony Pena. Outfield straight away for Dunston. Wind blowing across toward the left field corner. The ball will go out in left field. Chopper to the left side. Pendleton cuts it off. Force at second base. That's all they can get.
I like that hit Dunston got on opening day when he went to the opposite field. Last year, he seemed to have a lot of trouble with that pitch.
Well, if he waits, and that's one thing that he's got to do, is wait a little longer, he's going to be tough to get out, because many times now, Mike, he's getting himself out by lunging at the ball.
Right.
And the fact that he went to right field's a good sign. Jim Sundberg stepping in. Looks at a fastball high and tight. Injury report on Jody Davis. They're expecting him to be out only for 7 to 10 days, but they really have to wait till the swelling goes down and make an evaluation. It's a chip fracture of the finger. And hopefully Jody will be back in the not too distant future.
Yeah, I wonder if Gene Michael, after Jody broke his finger, went to Dallas Green and said, by the way, Dallas, I still think we needed that backup catcher.
Turns out to be a pretty good move, because they got a fine catcher as a backup, and now, of course, he's going to be the everyday catcher until Jody returns. Runner going. Swing and a miss. Throw to second. The ball gets away, but Ozzie Smith right there, and Sean Dunston has got himself a stolen base.
He would have, if that ball had been right on the button, he was there.
He gets a great jump against Danny Cox, and we've mentioned Cox does not have the best move to first. He also is a little slow delivering the ball to home plate. No chance to get Dunston. And now Tony Pena wants to go out to talk with Cox. On a 2-1 count with the pitcher due up next, you want to make sure not to give in to Sundberg. There's a look at Whitey Herzog. He's pretty confident about his ball club this year, and just by looking at this club, Mike, you got to believe that they're going to have a better year than they had in '86.
Yeah, I think, you know, it's a funny thing. With big salaries, I really think motivation is a factor. You win a world champ, you win a pennant, and the next year you're getting paid a lot of money, and there may be a tendency, I think, for teams, for some players to let down. I don't know if that's the cause, but to drop the way they did, of course they had key injuries. But he's got such good ball players, at least in their ballpark. I'm not sure how good they are in a ballpark like this. When the wind's blowing in, it kind of makes Cubs Park their kind of ballpark.
Well, last year the Cubs were 6-2 against the Cardinals, 10-7 overall, 6-2 in this park. So they had an advantage over them when you get them out of Busch Stadium.
Right.
No doubt their club is tailored to the AstroTurf, the spaciousness of their club, but they're trying to get some more pop. They're trying to make it even out on the road with Lindemann. Foul tip, Pena hangs on, and Danny Cox is out of the second inning. So no runs, no hits, no errors, and one left. We're through 2, and there is no score. Steve Stone along with Mike Royko. And Mike, you touched on an interesting point last inning, and you talked about motivating of the player who has a long-term contract and is comfortable. I think that's the most difficult question for managers and general managers in all sports in the 1980s.
Sure, I think, you know, I think ball players as entertainers should be as paid as much as they can get. If they sell tickets and bring in money, fine. I've never objected to how much they get. But I think when you set a guy up virtually for life in some of these cases, you can't be sure that he's going to go out and work as hard. Most people work on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis. And in the old days, ball players had to negotiate a new contract every year. And so they felt, I got to produce. And there have been so many cases shown where they don't produce once they get these long-range contracts. And it's understandable. These are young guys, and you know, they can look down the line and say, I don't have to work again.
And they're rolling it back now. There's a lot more one-year contracts than there used to be. Vince Coleman looking out at Steve Trout. Coleman grounded out to second baseman Brian Sandberg in the first inning. And that was quite a play by Sandberg, backhanding the ball over the middle, throwing out a very fast Coleman. Off-speed pitch misses low and away. Had an interesting column yesterday about Ted Williams coming back with a short porch at Yankee Stadium. You like to see the splendid Splinter hit again a few times?
I think he could out-hit probably 20% of the guys playing regularly in the major leagues.
He would have been something if he had a chance to play in what would be construed as a ballpark tailored to his abilities.
Sure. He could have conceivably broken Babe Ruth's record there.
3-0 count on Coleman, and he's the key to the offense for the Cardinals. You put him on and look out. And that's exactly what Steve Trout did.
We have to look out.
You know, every one of the Cardinals to a man points to Vince Coleman as the man that they feel is going to make him go this year. If Coleman can come back to the form he showed in 1985, this ball club can score a lot of runs. But if he's going to hit in the low 230s like he did last year, they could struggle again.
Do you think when a pitcher, you were a pitcher, when a pitcher is a guy like Coleman up there and he just doesn't want him on, he knows what a problem he is, do you think he then becomes too careful, and that's why, in a case like this, a walk?
I don't think there's any doubt about it. It's like saying don't think of elephants.
Starts aiming the ball.
Sure, you know that you can't walk the guy. You know you want to throw strikes, and you throw 4 straight bad ones. Yeah. And now he puts a whole lot of pressure on the pitcher. You know, yesterday, Rich Hacker at first base, or opening day, Rich Hacker talked to Ed Montague about a move that young Greg Maddox made. On the very next pitch, he got a balk call. Runner going. Ball gets away from Sundberg. And Coleman in at second base with a stolen base. And that's the 4th stolen base this year by the Cardinals.
I'm glad he slid her. He might have gone all the way to third base.
You know, last year he overslid third base and actually wound up stealing 2 bases on the same play because of a bad head-first slide. Nobody could run him down. He stole both second and third against the Cubs. One 1-0 count on Ozzie. He drew a base on balls in the first inning. Ozzie doubled in 2 runs in the 7th inning of the opener. He went 1 for 4 with a base on ball, scored a run. And now Jim Sundberg out to talk to Steve Trout. Did you ever want to be an umpire? You have any leanings toward that job?
Oh, no. I've been asked. I used to play a lot of softball. And when I started running too long in one place, I quit playing softball. And they asked me to umpire. And I said, forget it. I couldn't take it.
2-0. Trout starting to get a little wild here in the 3rd inning. So you feel like most other baseball people that the legs go first, huh?
In my case, the legs went about when I was about 14.
They went early.
Yeah.
Steve Trout wheels, but Coleman back. Ozzie's going to try to hit the ball to the right side. He wants to advance Coleman. Keith Moreland in close at third. Leon Durham even with the bag, but off the line at first. 3-0 count on Smith. Tommy Herr on deck, and Steve Trout is digging himself into a hole. No score. We're in the top of the 3rd inning. The type of pressure that Coleman puts on you, Mike. You have your attention divided, and Steve Trout paying a whole lot of attention to Coleman, and he's fallen behind 3-0 on Smith. Runner going. Throw to third. Too late. Coleman's in there with his second stolen base.
He is just, he's just a blur when he gets going. No walks, no walks, no walks.
Tough to throw him out. Line drive, Moreland makes the play. And Coleman alertly gets back to third. Nice heads-up base running by Vince Coleman. So some fine defenses save Steve Trout early. Sandberg in the first, Martinez in the second. And now a stop of a line drive by Keith Moreland. And Tommy Herr, who grounded to Moreland in the first inning, steps up and he takes a fastball inside. Coleman came up, stole 110 bases in 1985, followed it up with 107 last year. And he's on his way again this year. 2 stolen bases in the third inning. Chopper foul. The age-old question about the old-time ball player, Mike, and the modern-day player, who's better? You've been watching the game as a fan and a columnist for a lot of years. What do you think?
I don't think that the better players today are much better than, say, 40 years ago. I think that the players today are better than, say, overall than the pre-war players, for the simple reason there were no black ball players before World War II. And so many great players didn't get to play in the major leagues. But I'd say the players of the 50s were every bit as good, and there are probably a lot of guys playing baseball today because of expansion who might not have made it in those days when you only had 16 teams. You've got 240 guys playing baseball today who conceivably wouldn't be playing if we still had 16 teams. I don't think that there is, among the better players, that much difference. I mean, Mickey Mantle would be Mickey Mantle today. But going back pre-war, I think today's players take much better care of themselves because of the money. They want to extend their careers.
Just missing inside, the full count on Tommy Herr. Steve Trout wanted that one. Lee Wire thought it missed.
You know, today it's so common for a guy at 37 or 38 to still be playing top ball. It wasn't too long ago when at 35 they were winding it up and opening a bowling alley.
Or in this case, becoming a broadcaster. That's when I left at 35. Tap down the first baseline, foul ball. Now, if you're wondering whose call that is, if it's in front of the bag at first base, it's the call of the home plate umpire, and that's Lee Wire. Once it goes by the bag, the call belongs to Ed Montague, and he's the umpire at first. So let's watch the call once again. It's an excuse me swing by Tommy Herr. You see Lee Wire with the mask off. Now he calls it on the other side after Lee Wire has made the call. And Vince Coleman has to go back. So the count remains full on Tommy Herr. Infield in at all 4 positions. Ground ball to Sandberg. He'll look at home, has no play, fire to first. So the speed of Coleman, never more classically illustrated than that inning with 2 stolen bases and a run scored. Watch it again.
And he did what he was supposed to do. He got it over to that side of the infield and got the run in.
Did you think he had a shot at him at the plate?
No. You mean Sandberg at home? No.
The great speed of Vince Coleman. So the Cardinals do what they do best. They steal a run, essentially, and they go on top 1-0 with Jack Clark facing Steve Trout. Good off-speed pitch. Count evens at 1-1. So the Cardinals score without the benefit of a hit. And that's what Vince Coleman does for this Cardinal ball club at the top of the order. A base on balls, 2 stolen bases, and a ground out. Right back up the middle, a rocket base hit by Jack Clark. No doubt about that one.
No, and before I'd walk Coleman, I think I'd pitch underhand to him. I'd let him hit it and take a chance that somebody will grab it.
Anything to get the ball over.
Yeah.
bring up Jim Lindemann. He singled in the second inning. Lindemann 1 for 4 in the opener. 2 RBIs on a base hit. He scored a run. And he looks at his strike. His hitting instructor, Johnny Lewis, said that Lindemann's going to be a good hitter because he's got the good power to the opposite field. Doesn't always try to pull everything, but if you come inside, he can hit it as far as anybody. And he fouls off an off-speed pitch. He's in a hole 0-2. Cardinals desperately need some man who can swing the bat for power. They have enough base runners. They've got some defense. They've got pretty good pitching, but they've got to hit the ball out of the ballpark to be a contender. Strike 3 called. Lindemann doesn't like the call, but Steve Trout out of the third inning. But the Cardinals get a run and a hit. No errors and 1 left. We're through 2.5 with the Cardinals on top, 1-0. Beautiful day in the bleachers, as you can see. And Mike, I think this is what it's all about. I have a message here from Rich and Weston Vernon, and they say they're farmers from Kentucky. They've never been to the big city, but they enjoy watching the Cubs on WGN. They're at the ball game here today, and they want to wish a get well to Harry.
We all wish a get well to Harry.
That's for sure. Hurry back. Well, you've been up here 2.5 innings now. You want to give up your column and become a broadcaster?
I love the hours.
Can't beat it, huh? Steve Trout to lead off the third. And he looks at a fastball over the outside corner for a strike. Trout's a pretty decent hitter, makes contact, usually hits the ball between third base and shortstop or to left field. In the hole, backhand by Ozzie Smith, fires to first to get him. Good play by Ozzie.
It's exactly where you said he'd hit it.
Well, having one of those pitcher strokes and knowing that there's no way in the world you can pull the ball, I figured the odds are with me.
Well, he's smart. He's smart. You know, I've seen pitchers go up there and try to swing from the heels, and
but if he was a little smarter, he'd keep it away from Ozzie, because you're not going to get much mileage there. Well, what a player he is. Top of the order, and Chico Walker, who grounded Ozzie in the first inning. Didn't mean to swing and fouls it off. Chico said he's pretty excited about getting some playing time. He realized that he was going to be platooned in spring training. He did a pretty good job, especially coming up to the major leagues last year. And as you mentioned, Mike, an older guy coming to the major leagues, trying to establish himself, sometimes it's a little difficult.
Yeah, but it's happened. It's happened. And if he can get on base, he stole a whole bushel of bases last year near the end of the year, and he could be useful.
He can do for the Cubs what Vince Coleman does for the Cardinals, a table setter. Fly ball left field, well hit. Vince Coleman going back into the well. He stays with it and makes the catch. So Coleman, who had some problems opening day, makes a fine running catch on Chico Walker.
Yeah, the wind is a little less troublesome today than it was Tuesday. He looked like he had 3 martinis out there on opening day.
They sure looked a lot more sure on that fly ball. Sandberg with 2 out in the third inning. Ground ball right at Pendleton. Throws across, 1-2-3 inning. Mike, you're going to be going to radio, and Dwayne Stats is going to be joining me over here, so I'll see you in the 7th inning.
Okay, see you later.
End of 3. Cardinals on top, 1-0.
Hi again, everyone. Welcome back to Wrigley Field as we move into the 4th inning with Steve Stone and our producer-director, Arnie Harris. This is Dwayne Stats. It's a 1-0 ball game. Steve, we've already seen what this great speed on this Cardinal ball club can mean.
I think you could say it was vintage Cardinal baseball, Dwayne. They scored without the benefit of a hit. Vince Coleman, 2 stolen bases, and you just can't put him on base. You can't afford that, because more times than not, he's going to beat you.
Well, Steve Trout has walked 3 through the first 3 innings, and you just can't walk any of these St. Louis hitters. Here's Tony Pena to open the 4th inning. Pena reached on a fielder's choice and then stole a base in the 2nd inning, so the Cardinals even have a catcher who will steal bases now. There's a strike call by Lee Wire. Pena, Pendleton, and then Tito Landrum for the Cardinals against Steve Trout here in the fourth. Strike call, 0-2. Pena finished strong last year. He wound up hitting .288. Hit less than .250 the year before. And after the All-Star break last year, this guy hit .348.
With a lifetime batting average of .350 against the Cubs, he's terrorized their pitching staff.
This pitch is outside, all the way back to the base of the stands. 1-2 the count. There's the story on Trout's afternoon so far. 3 innings and a run on a pair of hits and 3 bases on balls to go with 2 strikeouts. Swing and a miss. Pena chased the pitch up. So that's the first out here in the fourth.
Tony Pena is known as a hitter who's going to swing if it stays in the ballpark. He hates to draw base on balls, and here he expands his strike zone. And that's one of the ways that Tony has gotten himself out over the last few years. He'll swing at just about anything.
Here's a fella, Terry Pendleton, whom the Cardinals would like to see be more selective. There are times when he will chase the pitch up, and they'd like to see him lay off that particular delivery. 0 out of 1 for Pendleton. Bounding ball foul into the Cub dugout. Strike one. What a catch by David Martinez on the ball hit in the second inning by the Cardinal third baseman. I mentioned here we are in the second game of the season already. You have a catch for the highlight film, because I think we'll go a whole lot of games without seeing anything resembling an effort like that. 1 out. Bases empty. Pitch missing inside, so the count is 1-1. Johnny Lewis was saying that if Pendleton just swings at strikes, he's going to raise his batting average 25 points. And they want to get him to be more patient, to wait on the back foot. Bounding ball by Moreland, picked up by Dunston, but no play. So Pendleton has himself an infield hit. The third Cardinal hit. And it's going to bring up Tito Landrum. I'd just like to see Steve Trout retire Tito Landrum. He's been on base 6 straight times, 3 bases on balls, 3 singles opening day. And for a guy who is known pretty much as a defensive player, he's come out swinging the bat. Trout with a move to first, and Pendleton is back in. Dwayne, what do you think it's going to take for these Cardinals to stay competitive with the Mets all year long? Well, like every other club, it all starts with pitching. And they're going to, of course, have to score some runs. What a turnabout this club made. You know, in '85, they led the National League in batting, led the league in runs scored. Bounding ball to short with a runner breaking. Dunston over to first for 1. Now, runner's going to try to go to third, and Pendleton is in there. Pendleton breaking on the pitch. Winds up going to third on the ground ball to short by Tito Landrum, and you could see that one developing. Here it is again. Pendleton never hesitates. He's round second while Dunston releases the ball to first. Durham really has no shot at him. Just heads up base running. We're going to isolate on Terry Pendleton. Good camera work, guys. Watch him round second base. When he sees Dunston deliver the ball, he's coming all the way. Great speed. And that's how the Cardinals win. Runner at third. Here's Danny Cox. A bunt attempt, and he misses it. Strike one. Last year, getting back to this Cardinal ball club and the hitting, they were the first team in big league history to go from first to last in runs scored and hitting. There's a ball, 1-1. So naturally, they're going to have to score a few more runs this year than they did last year, but they're going to have to get the good pitching. And as we've seen, they're going to run you to death, as they have done throughout the 80s. 1-1 pitch. Ball 2, 2-1. They stole 262 bases last year, over 300 the year before. Trout's 2-1 with Cox. Bounding ball. Dunston up with it. The throw to first in time to retire the side. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, and a man left. Bottom of the fourth coming up, 1-0 St. Louis. Back at Wrigley Field, we move into the bottom of the fourth inning. Cubs will have Andre Dawson, Keith Moreland, and Leon Durham to hit against Cardinal right-hander Danny Cox, with the Cardinals leading 1-0.
And tomorrow night, a pretty interesting event at Balmoral Racetrack. A harness race for charity. The Better Boys Foundation is the beneficiary, and a couple of your favorite bears in the race: Willie Galt, Gary Fensick, Mike Ditka, and all the way from New York and Tampa, George Steinbrenner going to be driving one of those horses. So bet on George Steinbrenner. I got a feeling that he's pretty familiar with the sulky, and he should do okay.
Lovely afternoon here at the ballpark. Sunny day at Wrigley Field. Cubs head to Philly. They'll play a 4-game series at Veterans Stadium against the Phillies starting tomorrow night. And then back here on Wednesday against the Pittsburgh Pirates. Meanwhile, Andre Dawson, who struck out swinging his first time, opens the Cub 4th. And there's a strike.
He worked Dawson very well in the first inning with breaking balls away. Didn't give him anything to swing at on the inner half of the plate. He came up and in a couple times, but when he went to get him, he got him away with the breaking ball. Let's see if he continues the pattern.
He's out in front, 0-2. Cubs have had a pair of walks, and that's it so far. No hits against Danny Cox. Cox was a game under 500 last year, 12-13. But all of his numbers were pretty good across the board. He had a great innings pitch to hits allowed ratio. The 0-2. Oh, bounding ball foul.
Mike Rourke mentions that probably the greatest attribute that Danny Cox has on the mound is his toughness. He's a good competitor, a tenacious kind of guy, not afraid of challenging the hitter. And when he keeps the ball down, he gets movement on his fastball. And we've seen today, Dwayne, his curveball is a little better this year.
And that's the one pitch they'd like to see him use a lot if he has command. This pitch is a little high, 1 ball, 2 strikes. The one thing they're a little concerned about him, Steve, and he admits it himself, he has a pretty good fastball, but there are times when he thinks he is stronger than he actually is, and he relies upon that fastball in those cases. Oops, Dawson's out on strikes, caught looking, and that's the 4th strikeout for Danny Cox.
Well, he's not overpowering, but if he sets up his fastball in good spots, he can surprise you, and he just did to Andre Dawson. Now, Dawson obviously looking breaking ball. That's how he got him the first time up, but he threw the fastball over the outside corner, and Andre couldn't pull the trigger.
1 gone. Here's Keith Moreland. Moreland caught looking at a fastball his first time up. Ball 1. Moreland drove in a run in his first trip to the plate here Tuesday. Cubs trailing 1-0 as we play in the bottom of the 4th. 1 ball, 1 strike now to Moreland.
Last 2 years, Danny Cox has been in the top 10 in complete games in the National League, so he's completed 27% of every game he started in the National League, a pretty good number.
Strike call. He's ahead of Moreland, 1-2. A look at Whitey Herzog, the Cardinals skipper. His club had a very good spring. Beat the Cubs here Tuesday and running the bases well here this afternoon. 2-2 the count now to Moreland. Cubs beat Cox twice last year. He was 0-2 against the Cubs. Another foul ball. And another souvenir.
The Cardinals had very good pitching in spring training. They realize they have to score some more runs this year, but they know it all starts on the mound. And they're pretty happy with their starting rotation. If they can get some good work out of Bill Dawley, who threw very well opening day, and get the game to Todd Worrell, they can have a very competitive year.
Here's the 2-2. Ground ball for Ozzie Smith. And the throw to first is in time. Moreland out short to first. 2 up, 2 down. Base is empty for Leon Durham. Well, Danny Cox had a very good spring. He was 2-0 with an earned run average of 1.23. Much better spring this year than last, when he suffered a chip fracture to his right ankle. That slowed him a bit. Here's Leon Durham looking at ball one.
Talking to one of the Philly scouts before the game who saw a lot of the Cardinals and Danny Cox in spring training, they were kind of hoping he might find another seawall in spring training because they knew that he'd be pretty tough if he stayed healthy.
Ball 2, 2-0.
You know, Cox came back last year after that 2-7 start and won 9 of his last 15 starts to put together a pretty representative year.
There's a strike, and it's 2-1. Well, he won 18 the year before, and then last year, slowed by the ankle problem, wound up a game under 500, 12-13. Count goes to 3-1 on Leon Durham.
Pretty good strategy. Walk the guys you know you're going to have trouble with and get the other guys out. He walked Leon last time and is behind 3-1.
This pitch is ball 4, so he's walked them twice. He walked Sandberg in the first inning. That's 3 bases on balls issued by Danny Cox. So the Cubs have a base runner with 2 outs, and here's David Martinez. Martinez hit the ball in the air his first time, a fly ball to center. And the Cubs would certainly like to see him avoid doing that. They'd like to see him hit the ball on a line and on the ground. Strike call to Martinez.
One thing the Cardinals are going to be 100% better in, and that's behind the plate throwing out base runners with Tony Pena back there. That can't help but mean 5 games to him at least.
There's a chopper up the middle. Ozzie Smith there touches the bag for the force on Durham, and that retires the side. No runs, no hits, no errors, 1 left. We've gone through 4. St. Louis 1, Cubs nothing. We move into the 5th inning from Wrigley Field. 1-0 St. Louis leading. And the Cardinals will have the top of the batting order. Vince Coleman, Ozzie Smith, and Tommy Herr against the Cub left-hander Steve Trout.
Cubs still looking for their first hit off Danny Cox, who's been awfully tough, mixing up the good breaking ball with good spots on the fastball. And Steve Trout has got to hold down the Cardinals. Cox looks like he's going to be a tough customer today.
Well, here's Coleman. He scored the game's only run in the 3rd inning, stealing 2nd and 3rd. He stole 3rd on a 3-0 pitch and then scored on a little tap to the second baseman Ryan Sandberg despite the drawn-in infield. There's a strike call. Johnny Lewis spent a little extra time with Vince Coleman and Terry Pendleton this spring. Coleman at the top of that lineup. If he gets on, there's no question he sets up the whole Cardinal offense. A bunt, Moreland there. He got it. Keith Moreland coming in on the bunt attempt by Vince Coleman, throws him out at first.
You won't see even a better third baseman make a better play than this. Keith Moreland comes in, looks like a 20-year veteran down there. Good anticipation, scoops it up with a strong arm in the throw and nails Coleman.
Of course, that's one of the plays Moreland was a little concerned about, but he handles it flawlessly here. Meanwhile, Ozzie Smith steps in and takes the first pitch, over but low, ball 1. This pitch tapped to short, knocked down by Dunston, and he cannot make a play on the ball. Ozzie Smith will reach. That's going to be a base hit for Ozzie Smith. So Smith is aboard for the 2nd straight time.
Fans showing a little displeasure here at the ballpark, but that's a tough play for Dunston. He's got to backhand a short hop. It's a do-or-die play. The ball trickled out of the glove of Dunston, and with the speed of Smith, you're not going to get a second opportunity. So it goes as a 4th Cardinal hit.
Here's Tom Herr. Cleveland won today. The Indians have knocked off Toronto 14-3.
Nothing wrong with the offense of the Tribe. They're going to score some runs.
1 on, 1 out. There goes the runner. The pitch is inside, and the throw is not in time. Stolen base for Ozzie Smith.
That time he took advantage of Steve Trout, who's normally very tough to steal against, but this time Ozzie Smith guessed right. He took off. Now watch how many steps he gets before Trout delivers the ball. He's got a full 5 steps. And Jim Sundberg has no chance whatsoever cutting him down.
That sort of thing didn't happen much a year ago when half of the runners attempting to steal with Trout on the mound were thrown out. But a stolen base for Ozzie Smith. He's in scoring position, and the count to Tom Herr is 1-0. Pitch away, and now it's a 2-ball, no strike count. Herr drove in a run with that tap to Sandberg in the 3rd inning. Officially nothing out of 2.
Last year, Tommy Herr knocked in 61 runs. In 1985, he knocked in 110, far and away his best. And the Cardinals looking for Herr to revert to the 1985 form.
Trout, the start of a move back there, no throw. Herr's a lot lighter this year. Feels he's a lot quicker. Feels that helps him defensively as well as at the plate. Ground ball, shortstop Dunston up with it. Sean's throw to first is in time. Smith remains at second. He's there with 2 gone. And here's Jack Clark with a man at second. Clark singled in the 3rd inning, struck out swinging in the 1st.
There's a difference between this year's club and last year's club. You know, Andy Van Slyke would hit behind Jack Clark in many instances. Well, if you've got a left-hander on the mound and you've got Jack Clark up in a 1-0 ball game with first base open, you don't have to pitch to Jack Clark. You can put him on first base and you can face the left-hander. But now with Andy Van Slyke gone to Pittsburgh for Tony Pena, they got a youngster by the name of Jim Lindeman up behind Clark, and now against a left-hand pitcher especially, Clark should see some better pitches.
Clark coming back from the thumb injury. Here's the stretch. The pitch on the way is a strike at the knees. Interestingly enough, before the thumb injury, Clark was struggling a bit along with the rest of the Cardinal ball club offensively. Last year he wound up hitting less than 170 with men in scoring position. There's a pitch inside, and it's 1-1. That's the lowest of his big league career.
And he says that they tightened up the ligaments in that right thumb. It affects him throwing the ball, but he says they're still a little tight. He's still not feeling 100%. He's not using it as an excuse. He says he's swinging the bat well, just a little tightness in there.
Trout with that awkward move back towards second.
I don't think there's any doubt that they have got to have Jack Clark swinging the big bat if they're going to contend all year.
Ground ball, left side. Dunston up with it. Long throw. He got him. And that retires the side. 6-3 on the putout of Clark. No runs, 1 hit, 1 left. Bottom of the 5th inning coming up. 1-0 St. Louis. We're going to the Cub half of the 5th inning. Sean Dunston, who is a busy man in the top half of the frame, will lead it off. Dunston, Sundberg, and then Trout against right-hander Danny Cox. Cubs trying to even the score against the Cardinals after dropping the opening game of the season on Tuesday, but right now the Cubs are down by a run. Pirates have scored a couple runs on the Mets. That game's in the bottom of the 7th inning, tied 2-2. And Dunston takes the breaking ball away, ball 1.
And the captain of no decision, Ron Darling, is going to get yet another no decision.
Gene Walters in there for the Mets. There's ball 2, 2-0. The Cubs last year defeated Cox twice by scores of 9-3 and 8-1. They beat him in early June in St. Louis, and then on the 5th of October here at Wrigley Field. And there's ball 3 to Dunston.
Cubs would love to have Sean Dunston on to lead off the inning. As good a catcher as Tony Pena is throwing the baseball to second, Danny Cox is a little suspect holding runners close.
And Dunston takes ball 4, so he's aboard. Walk number 4 allowed by Danny Cox. He has struck out 4 and walked 4. Now we'll see what the Cubs can do with a leadoff man on. This is the second time in this game the Cubs have put the leadoff man on. Durham walked to open the second. Here's Jim Sundberg.
I'm sure that Sundberg has seen Danny Cox from his days with Kansas City and Fort Myers in those days, and the Cardinals in St. Petersburg in Florida.
A strike call. Sundberg with a look down toward John Vukovich, the Cubs third base coach. Move to first. Dunston is back in. Cardinal outfield playing Sundberg to pull the ball. Another move over there. Sundberg, a longtime member of the Texas Rangers. Spent a year in Milwaukee, the last 2 years in Kansas City, and now with the Cubs. Foul ball out of play. He's down on the count now.
A lot of managers around the National League last year took to calling pitch outs 0-2. It's a good pitch to run, especially if you have a pitcher who likes to waste a pitch. And the Cubs don't want to see Sundberg hit into a double play.
Dunston off the bag. And Sundberg is out on strikes. He tried to hold up, but he's out of there for the second straight time. And then strikeout number 5 for Cox. That brings up Steve Trout.
Terry Pendleton in very close at third. Odds are Steve Trout will be bunting, but he's been known to draw the bat back occasionally if they charge him too vigorously and try to punch the ball through the infield.
He's down to bunt, attempts and misses the pitch, strike 1. No hits, no runs so far as we play in the bottom of the 5th inning. 5 strikeouts, 4 walks. Cox calls Clark over from first.
And they're talking about when Jack Clark is going to release toward home plate. The last thing that Danny Cox wants to do is turn around to pick off Sean Dunston and find Clark charging toward home plate. So he wants to make sure that they get their timing just right.
Here's the pitch. Bunt attempt again, and he missed it. Strike 2. If that first baseman is charging and the pitcher starts to move over there, that pitcher is caught in more ways than one. Even if he flips the ball to the first baseman and that first baseman's not in the vicinity of the bag, that's still a balk. This pitch is low, so it's 1-2.
Well, if you turn to throw to first and your first baseman is charging the plate, you try to throw the ball real hard, hit the umpire in the chest, so it stays right there and the runner can't advance.
1 on, 1 out, a ball and 2 strikes. Runners going, the pitch bunted foul, so Trout is out on strikes trying to put down the bunt. Goes as a strikeout, the 6th for Cox, out number 2 in the 5th inning. So Dunston will return to first. We're going to look at Jim Snyder, the first base coach for the Cubs.
Unusually high strikeout total for Danny Cox here early in the season and the ball game. Last year he struck out just 108 men in 220 innings, so he averaged about 4.5 strikeouts a game.
Here's Chico Walker. Walker's grounded out and flied out. Pitch is upstairs for a ball.
I'd like to see him take a gamble and send Dunston a 1-0 game. Worst that can happen is you start off the next inning with the top of the order up. This way you might get Dunston into scoring position. Let's see if they try and gamble.
Cardinals give Walker all of right field. There's a strike on the outside part of the plate. Lindemann about 90 feet off the right field line. The count to Walker, 1-1. Dunston opened with a walk. He's still at first. 2 gone. The toss to first. Sean back in. Walker waiting. And the pitch is a strike call. Dunston had bluffed to start and then stop. Walker's behind 1 and 2.
At times during the season, the runners will be without a sign to steal. It's go if you get a jump. But right now, Gene Michael has nobody on their own. They're taking the signs from John Vukovic.
Here's the stretch. And Walker takes it away. 2 balls, 2 strikes the count to Chico Walker. We're in the bottom of the 5th inning. The Cardinal run came in the 3rd on a ground ball by Tommy Herr, scoring Vince Coleman. And that has been the extent of the scoring so far this afternoon. Runners going. 2-2, swing, and a foul-tipped strikeout to retire the side. 3 strikeouts in the inning for Danny Cox. The Cubs leave a man through 5, 1-0 St. Louis. With Steve Stone and our producer-director, Arnie Harris. This is Dwayne Stats. We're moving into the 6th inning from Wrigley Field with the Cardinals leading the Cubs 1-0. In the 6th, the Cardinals will lead off with Jim Lindeman. He'll be followed by Tony Pena and Terry Pendleton. Great day in the sun here at Wrigley Field. Game time temperature was 49 degrees, but in the sun it has to be much warmer than that.
Doesn't feel bad up here today. But for Steve Trout, it can't be too comfortable a situation. Last complete game he threw was 1985, September 29th against Pittsburgh.
So he's well rested.
No doubt about that. And he's got to hold the Cardinals close. Danny Cox is giving up nothing to the Cubs.
Here's Lindeman. And he takes the ball. Lindeman has singled and has been called out on strikes. This young man had a very good spring. There's a ground ball. Shortstop Dunston. The throw to first in time. So Lindeman's out of there, 6-3. It was the great spring of Lindeman, and that coupled with a couple good seasons in the minor leagues and a couple good years in the winter leagues that prompted the Cardinals to trade Andy Van Slyke and get this guy, Tony Pena. Pena, nothing out of 2 so far in this one. Did reach on a fielder's choice in the 2nd and picked up his 2nd steal of the year. Pitch away, ball 1.
With Trout on the mound, the left side of the infield figures to be busy. So far, Sean Dunston with 6 ground balls his way, and Moreland with a couple of plays.
2-0 the count. Mets came back with a run in the bottom of the 7th inning to regain the lead over Pittsburgh. It's now 3-2 with the Pirates hitting in the 8th. Strike call, 2-1. Later on this afternoon, the Giants and the Dodgers play in Los Angeles. Ground ball by the mound. Sandberg backhanded stop. The throw is not in time. Great attempt by Ryne Sandberg on the ball hit by Tony Pena. Most other catchers would be out, but Pena can get down that line.
Nobody does it better than Sandberg, backhanding the ball over the middle. Can't get too much on the throw, and Pena with the good wheels gets in before the throw. Watch it again. Sandberg, the good backhand. Now watch the off-balance throw. Nice stop by Leon Durham. Tony Pena in there.
It's amazing how Pena has retained that speed as well. He'll be 30 years old this year. He still runs well. Here's Pendleton into the dirt. The ball blocked by Sundberg. There goes Pena, and he's going to make it. Pena got in there. That's going to be a wild pitch charged to Steve Trout.
And Jim Sundberg is talking with Lee Wire about interference on Terry Pendleton. But he was trying to get out of the way. Watch it again. The ball gets tangled up in the legs of Pendleton. A good stop by Sundberg. Now watch what happens. Fights his way through Pendleton. Makes a good throw to second base. But Pena is in there, and it goes as a wild pitch. Pena adding some wheels, surprisingly, to the Cardinals.
1-0 the count on Pendleton. Sundberg calling for time. He's going to talk it over with Steve Trout. Well, you're not going to see many clubs run the bases better than the Cardinals, not only on sheer speed, but on base running instinct.
Well, you saw it earlier with Terry Pendleton going all the way from first to third on a ground ball to Sean Dunston. That's great instinct and great anticipation. And Coleman literally stole the run for the Cardinals earlier.
Now the pitch. 1 ball, 1 strike. Pendleton 1 for 2. Cardinals truly feel that Pendleton has a chance to be a 260, 270 hitter. And a fellow who may drive in a few key runs for them. Fights this one off and fouls it.
If Pendleton has a good year, it's going to be one of the best trades the Cardinals didn't make. There was a lot of rumors in the spring about Pendleton going to Montreal along with Greg Matthews for Tim Wallach. But when it looked like the Expos would lose both Raines and Dawson, they decided to keep Wallach. And Wallach stays in Montreal, and Pendleton, a great glove man, trying to put together a good offensive year for the Cardinals.
He tomahawked that pitch and fouled it out of play.
That's where the problem comes in for Terry Pendleton. He falls behind the pitcher, gets a little over anxious, starts swinging at pitches over his head, and he was lucky to foul that ball off.
You know, the Cardinals now are saying they're also very happy that they hung on to the left-hander Matthews. He came to camp stronger, and they feel that he may be an even better pitcher than they had projected. Swung on, well hit ball to deep left. Walker back. Goodbye home run for Terry Pendleton on a 1-2 pitch, and that makes it a 3-0 ball game. So Pendleton hits a 2-run blast with Pena aboard.
Steve Trout didn't want to make this good a pitch with a 1-2 count. He throws a fastball down and on the inner half, and Terry Pendleton goes down and gets it with a wind blowing toward left. Nothing to hold this ball up, and the Cardinals are on top by 3.
Now Landrum in there, and there's ball 1. The 6th hit for the Cardinals. It's a 3-run deficit now for the Cubs. That pitch is wide, 2-0. Well, the one thing Trout wants to guard against now is falling behind this guy and losing his concentration. He's behind Landrum 2-0. There's a strike, 2-1.
He's been doing such a good job. After a big blow like that, you want to step off the mound, regain your composure. Hopefully Steve Trout won't fall into that trap.
He comes back to pull even with Landrum, so the count is square at 2-2. Cardinals with a run in the 3rd, now 2 in the 6th. And that pitch is a little bit high. The count all the way out to 3-2. Well, the Cardinals hit only 58 home runs all of last year, and Pendleton has hit a 2-run blast here in the 6th. Swing and a miss. Landrum's out of there. 2 gone. Strikeout number 4 for the Cub left-hander. And it brings up the Cardinal pitcher, Danny Cox. There you are. That's long distance. It'd take quite a shot to get that. Bounding ball foul.
McCovey or Stargell might be able to hit one up there, but they're not playing anymore, so they're pretty safe.
Cox has grounded out twice against Trout. That pitch is foul. 2 strikes. Well, if anybody hit that shot, that's got to be about the 44th floor.
They might want to check the bat.
This pitch is low, 1-2.
Check the ball, a couple other things.
You know, that reminds me of the ball that Andre Dawson hit into the upper deck in Houston in left field a few years ago. He had a tremendous blast down that left field line there. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
How about Mike Laga hitting the ball out of Busch Stadium foul? That was a pretty big blow.
Ground ball back to the mound. Knocked down by Trout. He has it, and the throw to first is in time to retire the side. But the Cardinals scored 2 runs on a pair of hits. No errors and no one left. Bottom of the 6th coming up. 3-0 St. Louis.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Chicago National League Ball Club, which has the right of approval of the announcers and is intended solely for the private non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the Chicago National League Ball Club is prohibited.
In the bottom of the 6th inning, the Cubs find themselves down 3-0, and Ryne Sandberg stepping in to lead it off against Danny Cox. Sandberg walked his first time. Last time up, he grounded out third to first.
Ryder will take a look down at Terry Pendleton to see where he's playing. Maybe he can drop the bunt down there, but so far Pendleton isn't giving away anything. He's even with a bag.
Cox delivers and starts Sandberg with a strike. Cox shoots it home again and misses down and away. 1 ball and 1 strike. Dawson and Moreland to follow Ryne Sandberg. Swung on, fly ball, left center field. That sends Coleman back, and that ball is gone. Home run for Ryne Sandberg. He hit it into the basket, and that gets the Cubs on the scoreboard with their first hit of the afternoon. Ryne Sandberg's first home run of the year. $100 to Cubs Care Cancer Fund in the name of True Value Hardware. A 1-1 pitch, and Ryne Sandberg lined it out of here into left center field.
Another reason why you call it the friendly confines. The ball didn't make it by much, but it made it by enough. So the no-hitter, the shutout, all down the drain for Danny Cox. Watch it again. Sandberg gets a high slider and drives it into the basket.
Now here's Andre Dawson. He takes one low for a ball. Dawson's been crossed up twice by Danny Cox. Struck out swinging on the breaking ball in the first, struck out looking on the fastball in the fourth. He had a good cut and fouled that one back, 1-1. So the Cubs are on the scoreboard. There's a look at Ryne Sandberg. He has power with or without the mustache. There's a high foul down the right side. That's going to be out of play.
That's going to set the bullpen to work for the Cardinals. A lot of stirring going on right there. Ricky Horton up and throwing.
Dawson down on the count. On 1-2, he sends a fly ball into center. Landrum coming in, and he makes the catch for the out. Took Landrum just a beat or two to line that one up, but he wound up coming in to make the grab.
Tito Landrum says he's not quite used to center field yet. He played mostly on the corners in spring training, and when the experiment with Vince Coleman went awry, he was given the ticket in center field. He's trying to adjust as well as he possibly can. He's a good defensive player. He says it'll take him a while, and he's happy he's breaking in Wrigley Field. You don't have the spaciousness in the alleys here.
Here's Keith Moreland. Moreland takes strike 1. Keith's been called out on strikes and has grounded out short to first. So the Cubs now trail by 2. Fastball in for a strike. 2 strikes the count. Big right-hander delivers upstairs. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Danny Cox, 27 years old. And to look at Pena. Flash the signal. Now the 1-2. Foul ball out of play. Now the count holds right there at 1-2 on Keith Moreland. Keith, 32 years old.
What do you call Whitey Herzog a patient manager when it comes to pitching?
I'll tell you, once he starts the ball rolling, though, he can change him in a hurry. Just missed outside, 2-2.
He's been known to go to 3 pitchers in an inning trying to get out of it. He really uses his bullpen well, and there you look at Whitey, well respected as one of the finest managers in the game.
Whitey down there talking it over with Red Schoendienst and Mike Rourke. Line drive to Ozzie Smith for the out. On a 2-2 pitch, Moreland lined it to Ozzie Smith. 2 gone. Danny Cox. He was born in England, but went to high school in Georgia. Went to Troy State University in Troy, Alabama. Facing Leon Durham, who takes it upstairs. Ball 1. Durham with a pair of bases on balls in this game. Into the dirt. 2 balls, no strikes.
He's been very careful with Leon Durham. He doesn't want to give him anything too good to swing at. Leon with the advantage of being able to drive the ball to left center field and take advantage of that wind. He's liable to see a breaking ball or fastball over the outside corner and might want to go that way.
Frank DePino starts to trot down toward the Cub bullpen. Got 2 ball, no strike count on Leon Durham. There's DePino, the Cub lefty. There's a high pop-up on the left side. Pendleton getting the call. Fair ball, and he makes the catch for the out. So Durham pops out, and that retires the side. But the Cubs get a run on the home run by Sandberg. Mike Royko will be rejoining you, and at the end of 6, it's a 3-1 ball game, St. Louis.
Steve Stone back with Mike Royko to take you through the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning, and you've seen life on the other side. Now the radio side. Any difference?
I had a friendly chat with Lou and answered a Cub trivia question.
Well, if you can answer the trivia question, you're ahead of the game. And the Cardinals are ahead of the game at this point. They lead Steve Trout and the Cubs 3-1 with Vince Coleman leading off the 7th. Line drive center field, and it falls in front of Dave Martinez. So Coleman's aboard. He's 1 for 3 for the day. Drew a base on balls in the 3rd inning, sandwiched between 2 groundouts, and when he was on in the 3rd, he stole 2nd, he stole 3rd, he scored on an infield out to Sandberg. And Steve Trout has his work cut out for him with Ozzie Smith stepping up. Ozzie's 1 for 2 with a base on balls. He singled in the 5th inning. Once again, Bill Dolly is sat down in the bullpen for the Cardinals. And it looks like Dickie Knowles up and throwing for the Cubs. Well, the prediction you made about Sandberg challenging for the batting title looks like it's got some validity.
Oh, I really think he's going to do it. I thought that he could win batting championships since the day came the Cubs party.
Doing everything he can to hold down Vince Coleman. Pitch out. Coleman took a step, but he read the pitch out well. It looked like he was going to break. He saw Sandberg shift his weight, and he went back to first. Congratulations to financial boss George Van Giem of WGN Radio. He's been re-elected to a 2nd term as village trustee in Mount Prospect. Runner going. Throw to 2nd. It's low, and Vince Coleman has his 3rd stolen base of the day. And the Cubs have yet to throw out any Cardinals in the first 2 games.
Kind of wish that first baseman in baseball could get away with holding the way linemen do in football.
Or stepping on his foot, anything to slow him down. Vince Coleman is close to impossible to throw out if you let him get a step at first base. And Steve Trout, who last year had 50% of the base runners thrown out trying to steal, hasn't had much success today against the Cardinals. Runner in scoring position, nobody out, and a 1-1 count on Ozzie Smith. Tries to bunt, and he's in a hole 1-2. Ozzie has a little more pop from the right side. He doubled in 2 runs opening day, and he's trying to make contact here, preferably to the right side of the infield to move along Coleman. Good stop by Sundberg. Count evens at 2-2. One final in the American League. The Cleveland Indians destroyed the Toronto Blue Jays 14-3 in Toronto. New York Mets on top of Pittsburgh. That game in the 9th inning. They lead 4-2. Runner going. Throw to third. And Coleman is in there with his 4th stolen base.
To be able to put a quota, a limit on.
Bad throw to the wrong side of the bag, and that allowed Coleman to slide into the back of the bag. Full count on Smith. Fly ball left center field. It's deep enough. Dave Martinez setting up for the throw. Here comes Coleman. Here comes the throw. They'll never get him, and it's a sacrifice fly for Ozzie Smith. And the Cardinals go up 4-0. 4-1, excuse me.
Well, that's 2 runs strictly on speed, on his speed.
Not much chance for Dave Martinez on that fly ball. Brings up Tommy Herr. He bunts down the third base line, but foul. Well, you've seen today why Vince Coleman means so much to this Cardinal ball club. He's been on base twice, he's scored twice, 4 stolen bases. And when he's on to lead off an inning, it's close to impossible to stop him from scoring because the Cardinals can do so many things behind him. And when they get Willie McGee back, which Whitey Herzog said is on a day-to-day basis, they're going to even be tougher, especially if Willie McGee can revert to his MVP form of 1985 when he hit .353.
When Coleman, a walk to Coleman is like a double, and in some cases a triple.
We've seen it twice here today. It was a triple. 1-1 count to Tommy Herr, one of the 5 switch hitters in the Cardinal everyday lineup. 1-2 count. With 5 switch hitters, you don't have to worry about the platoon system. It's like the old Dodger ball clubs. They always had a lot of switch hitters in their lineup.
Yeah, is there any advantage to having a left-handed pitcher when you have these kind of switch hitters, just because they lose that step or so toward first base?
I think there's a couple of advantages, Mike. One is certainly they're not quite as fast out of the box from the right side as they are from the left, and also generally a left-hand pitcher has got a better shot at both a pickoff move and holding a runner close at first. So you try to negate their running game and you take a step away out of the box, but today it hasn't mattered much because Vince Coleman is running wild. Jack Clark looks at a fastball over the outside corner. Clark is 1 for 3 today. He singled in the 3rd inning. Three-run deficit for the Cubs. They'll have to come back. Tries to check his swing. One and one count on Clark. Good changeup, 1-2. Detroit Tigers have defeated the New York Yankees 9-3. That game a final in Detroit. And the Mets made that 4-2 lead hold up against Pittsburgh. They're 2-0 this year. Count evens at 2-2. Atlanta, Cincinnati, Houston all undefeated. Atlanta 1-0, Cincinnati 2-0, and the Houston Astros 3-0 along with the San Francisco Giants in the National League West. the National League East. The New York Mets are now 2-0. The Cardinals bidding to go 2-0. The Cubs trying to get on the board with their first win of the year here today. Montreal 0-2. Philadelphia 0-1. Fly ball right field. Way up there. Andre Dawson makes the catch. So the Cardinals get a run on one hit. They don't leave anybody. End of 6.5. The Cardinals on top 4-1. We head into the bottom of the 7th inning. Steve Stone along with Mike Royko. Well, now the truth. Is it tougher on TV or easier?
Well, it's easier on TV because they can see it, but it's tougher because occasionally they can see me.
Martinez 0 for 2. Flied out, grounded into a force play. And he looks out at Danny Cox, who's thrown a magnificent ball game. The only thing that's kept him from a no-hitter was a leadoff home run in the 6th inning by Ryan Sandberg. Fouled off down the first baseline. Bullpen busy for the Cardinals, as it is for the Cubs. Dickie Knowles continues to throw down the left field line. Looks like Bill Dolly up and throwing in the bullpen for the Cardinals. And a familiar face, Jack Buck, joining us in the booth. There's a good look in at Tony Pena. Fouled off once again. Now, Mike, you have to be on your best behavior because you have Jack Buck behind you, and he knows how to do this.
Well, then tell me what to do.
Jack's going to be joining us in St. Louis. Fastball missing inside. Jack Buck, Mike Shannon, and Stan the Man Musial is going to fill in for us and spell Harry in St. Louis a couple weeks from now. 1-2 count on Martinez. Sliced down the line in left field. Coleman giving it a look, but it's back in the seats.
You're going to have Musial on.
Yes, sir.
Ah.
Well, what do you think about your ball club this year, Jack?
Well, I think we're good, Steve. I think most people recognize that, and I think we'll give the Mets a little run for their money. I don't think the Mets are going to win 108. And we make the most of it, don't we? We got 1 run with no hits, 2 runs with 2 hits, and 1 run with 1 hit.
You're a little surprised by your pitching staff this spring. You guys put together a good effort.
No, you forget that Cox won 18 a year ago before he was injured last year. And Matthews came on last season and made a big impact in a short period of time. There goes Martinez chasing a bad ball, and he's the first out here in the Cubs' 7th inning. And Dolly looked good the other day. He hopes to get Daly back, and we've got Worrell. Horton's a good pitcher. We're in pretty good shape, Steve.
He also in pretty good shape if Vince Coleman gets on base, as we've seen today. He can be devastating at the top of the order.
How do you like our catcher? He gives us a little vitality back there and a little more punch in the lineup. You don't have to pinch hit for Pena. You don't have to run for him. And our bench is better than it was a year ago.
Well, it's always good to see, and I know our fans are looking forward to hearing from you a couple weeks from now in St. Louis.
Right, and between now and then, you and I will have spoken with Harry, and we'll give the folks the latest, and it'll be fun joining you, Steve.
Good to see you, Jack. Thanks for stopping by.
And I hope their base runners all get athlete's foot.
Ground ball to the right side. Jack Clark up with it. He flips to Danny Cox, who beats Dunston to the bag. Harry's on the phone right now to Arnie Harris. He says hello to everybody, especially you, Mike Royko. Thanks for sitting in and helping him out here. And he wants to know, where's all the bats? Where's this offense that we've been talking so much about?
It'll come. It'll come. They may have to hold another election on Rush Street if he doesn't get back.
He'll have to reprint his business card, says the mayor of Rush Street. Jim Sundberg takes one down. He's been up twice. He's been a strikeout victim in both the 2nd and the 5th innings. 8 strikeouts for Danny Cox, who averaged 4.5 strikeouts last year. So he's been at the top of his game. Mixing up speeds well, mixing locations. Cox doing a fine job. He has a 4-1 lead. The Cubs have been out hit 7-1. It's been all Cardinals so far, but a couple more chances to get at Danny Cox. The way to beat the Cardinals is to try to get on him early. Mike, so you don't have to face Todd Worrell coming out of that bullpen late.
Right.
Three 3-0 count to Sundberg. That would mean a pinch hitter for Steve Trout. Good fastball for a strike. Todd Worrell last year with 36 saves, a brilliant 208 earned run average, appearing in 74 games for the Cardinals. So he was the big stopper out of the bullpen. Ball 4, Sundberg's aboard. And Jerry Mumphreys going to get a pinch hitting appearance against Danny Cox, so that's going to be it for Steve Trout. Threw a pretty good ball game. Trout threw 7 innings, gave up 7 hits.
Trout, 7 innings, 7 hits, 4 runs all earned, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts.
Trout struck out 5. He walked 3. Not a bad effort, but when your team's not scoring, there's not much you can do. And Jerry Mumphrey with an opportunity to get the Cubs rolling here in the 7th. Outfield straight away for Mumphrey. Wind still blowing out toward left field. I know you've seen a few rallies late for the Cubs.
Oh yeah, and I like Mumphrey in this situation because he goes to the opposite field with pretty good power.
Trying to pick up the slack of the departed Thad Bosley, who was a very good hitter off the bench. And it's interesting to see a guy who played in spots last year and was a starter for the majority of his career suddenly try to adapt to the pinch hitting role.
I would think that would be tough when you're used to being a starter, because pinch hitting, you know, just from hearing what ball players say, is a special knack. It takes a certain mindset.
You also have to be aggressive. You can't let the pitcher get ahead. You've been sitting on the bench. It's been cold. You're sitting there for 7 innings. You get one swing at a pretty tough pitcher most of the time. And now Cox has fallen behind 2-0, and he could be tiring some. Here's a man who had pretty good control today, suddenly finding it hard to throw strikes.
Well, in the last inning, he looked like they were starting to hit the ball a little harder off of him.
Fastball misses. 3-0 count on Mumphrey. Chico Walker in the on-deck circle. Cubs with just 1 hit. Leadoff home run by Sandberg in the 6th inning. Last year, Cox completed 8 of 32 starts. And he walked him. 4 straight bad ones. Jerry Mumphrey's aboard. That puts runners at first and second with 2 out. And here comes Whitey Herzog, and I think he might have seen enough of Danny Cox. And he goes to the bullpen, and it looks to me like Bill Dawley's going to come in once again. We'll be back with more after these messages. Exit Danny Cox, enter Bill Dawley. There you see his last year's work with the White Sox. Not too impressive, but he was very impressive opening day. In relief of John Tudor, he came on, he threw 4 innings, gave up just 1 hit and no runs, didn't walk anybody, and struck out 2. And he's one of the keys to this bullpen. If he can bring the game to Todd Worrell, Whitey Herzog feels pretty comfortable. And taking a look at him, Mike, you got to say he's certainly big enough to be effective.
Yeah, but the bigger they are, the harder what? We hit them?
Let's hope that that's the case. Bill Dawley's not overpowering. He showed a good slider opening day. And he'll take a look at Chico Walker, who's 0 for 3. Ground out, a fly out, and a strikeout. Runners at first and second, 2 outs. Cubs trail 4-1. They've been out hit 7-1. And the infield is back. Ground ball to shortstop.
No.
That's going to be it. Ozzie goes the easy way, and Bill Dawley gets the Cardinals out of a jam. No runs, no hits, no errors, 2 left. We're through 7 with the Cardinals on top 4-1. You're looking at Dickie Knowles, who's coming on the top of the 8th inning to face the Cardinals. Knowles didn't fare very well opening day, pitched the 3rd inning, gave up 4 runs on 2 hits. Sean Dunston dug him into a hole with an error to open up the 7th inning. And Dickie had some problems after that, but he's got to hold the Cardinals right here as Jim Lindeman leads off the 8th. Looks at a fastball low and away. Lindeman 1 for 3 today. Had a big 2-run single in the 3rd inning opening day. and made a fine defensive play to help out John Tudor. Slider over the outside corner. The count evens at 1-1, and Frank DePino up and throwing in the bullpen for the Cubs. Line drive left field, well hit. Gets by Chico Walker. Lindemann rounding first base on his way to second, and he's in with a double, and that was a rocket, Mike.
I told you early in the game he's showing off for his relatives. How did we let him get away from the Chicago area?
I don't know. When you see a man swing the bat like that, you kind of wonder. But don't forget, Johnny Bench went in the second round. Cincinnati picked Bernie Carbo over Johnny Bench. So a lot of mistakes made by scouts. A lot of guys develop later. Mike Marshall went into the 8th round, I believe, before he was selected. So a lot of teams passed on him also. Tony Pena steps up, and he takes a fastball for a strike.
Moose Garland told me that years ago when he was in college, a Cub Scout came out, watched him. He had 3 home runs. Cub Scout didn't even say hello, and they left. He wound up playing first base for the great Yankee team.
Didn't do a bad job either.
Yeah.
Count evens at 1-1.
Here is today's paid attendance, 12,441.
12,441 in attendance today. Trying to root the Cubs home to a victory. 2-1 count on Pena. As Jack Buck mentioned before, you don't have to pinch run for Pena and never have to take him out for defensive purposes. He gives the Cardinals a big lift behind the plate. And one thing you can't measure is his love to play the game. This is a guy who plays through all kinds of injuries. You got to love his type of player. He's a throwback to the old days, Mike.
Catcher shouldn't be allowed to run that fast.
You figure the hamstrings be shortened up by this time. 2-2 count. Chopper in the infield. Lindemann going to advance to third. Dunson up with it. Throws across to get him. That'll bring up Terry Pendleton, who's been a thorn in the Cubs side today. He's 2 for 3. Singled in the 4th inning, a 2-run homer in the 6th inning off Steve Trout. And he turns around to hit left-handed for the first time. They need a big year out of Terry Pendleton, who a couple years ago came up in a half season, hit .324. In the past 2 years, he struggled with the bat. Infield in as Pendleton takes one over the outside corner for a strike. Cubs trying to cut off the run. They trail by 3. Just missing outside. Having a wild one in Milwaukee. Brewers lead Boston. Runner coming. Here comes Lindemann. They've got him hung up. Now Dickie Knowles got the ball, and he tags out Jim Lindemann. So it's a blown sign on the suicide, and the Cubs cut down Lindemann in the rundown. The out goes 2-5-1.
Was that a...
Pendleton just missed the signal. He swung away on the suicide.
Yeah, the kid must have thought that the suicide was on, or else.
Imagine Lindemann's surprises. He's coming down the line, and Pendleton is swinging away.
Now, what happens when Pendleton gets back in the dugout? What does the manager say?
Let's talk about the signs, Terry. Or let's talk about the signs, Jim. Somebody missed something. Pendleton fouls it away, getting back to the wild one in Milwaukee. The Brewers leading Boston 11-6. That game in the top of the 6th inning. Fastball misses inside. Roger Clemens due to pitch Saturday, so that's got to be a big lift to the Boston Red Sox, a man they didn't have all spring. Obviously kept himself in pretty good shape. What do you think of these extended contract negotiations in spring training?
Well, you know, I believe in the capitalist system and grab it all you can get, but I think in his case, I think he was pretty surprised after the year he had that he ran into money problems.
He ran into a lot of money problems.
Yeah.
But they obviously came to some sort of an accord because he's back in uniform. Ground ball, easy play for Sandberg. Fires to first, and that's it for the Cardinals. So Dickie Knowles gets out of it despite a leadoff double. And we're through 7.5 with the Cardinals on top, 4-1. In addition to following the Cubs on WGN, the best way to keep up with the latest Cub news is to subscribe to Vineline, the official newspaper of the Chicago Cubs. Vineline delivers 12 monthly issues for only $15.95. It's the ultimate source of information for every Cubs fan. To subscribe, send your check or money order for $15.95 to Cubs Vineline, Post Office Box 592, Prospect Heights, Illinois 60070. Heading into the bottom of the 8th inning, it's going to be Sandberg, Dawson, and Moreland to face Bill Dawley on in relief of Danny Cox. And Mike, it's time to get something going.
Yes, it is. I'm glad to see Rhino shaved off that mustache. I thought it gave him kind of a furtive look. He went from being the All-American boy to looking kind of like a gigolo.
A little too sinister for you?
Yeah.
Well, he said the mustache was drawing a lot of attention, and he wanted to get to the attention back to what he does best, and that's play ball. So Sandberg looks at a fastball away. He's 1 for 2 with a base on balls. His leadoff home run in the 6th inning. The only Cub hit of the afternoon. Danny Cox was brilliant through 6 2/3 innings. Dawley falls behind 2-0, and the bullpen is busy once again for the Cardinals. Todd Worrell and Ricky Horton up and throwing, a right-hander and a left-hander. The tail of the tape, there's only one. Rhinos on top. 3-0 count on Sandberg. Now you take a look at Worrell and Horton. Danny Cox walked 6, struck out 8 through 6 2/3, but the walks didn't give him any trouble. Good fastball for a strike. When you sit home and watch a game, do you manage?
I second guess a lot.
Easy to do that,
Oh,
isn't it?
yeah, I'm a master.
Pop straight up. Ozzie Smith calling for it. And he makes the catch.
And it's tougher here because I also swear a lot.
You can't do that here.
Can't do that here.
Like when you're writing your column and you can throw it away. Doesn't happen in this instance. Andre Dawson is 0 for 3, still looking for his first hit as a Cub. Knocked in a run in the opener, and the outfield is shading him a little toward left and very deep. 1-0 count on Andre. There's a good look at king-size Bill Dawley. 6'4", 240 plus. Long drive to left field, well hit. You can forget it.
Adios.
It's gone. Home run, Andre Dawson. Number 1 is a Cub, and that cuts the lead to 4-2. No doubt about that one.
That just went up and kept going.
That's not the last one you're going to see. You're going to see this all summer.
And I don't even think he got it all.
He's enormously strong. He got enough of it, and Whitey Herzog has seen enough of Bill Dawley. Let's take another look at it. This bears repetition. Inner half of the plate, no doubt about it, just barely stays in the ballpark. And we'll be back with more after these messages. Tito Landrum has moved over to right field, and in his place in center is Willie McGee. He's flip-flopped in the batting order. McGee's going to hit in the 9th spot. And Todd Worrell, the big right-hander, takes over on the mound. Worrell, 6'5", 210 pounds, out of Arcadia, California. And last year for St. Louis, 9-10 with a 2.08 ERA in 74 games. 36 saves. Take a look at those numbers. Pretty good reliever, Mike.
Yeah, yeah. But if they flip-flop their outfielders, but if we can hit a couple more like Dawson, it doesn't matter who's out there.
It doesn't matter. And Harry was looking for the offense. Well, you've seen part of it, the long ball on the part of the Cubs, who led the National League in home runs last year. But now they've got a tough job trying to hit against hard-throwing Todd Worrell, whose fastball has been timed up to 95 miles an hour. And the Cubs would like to get something on the board before the shadows start to creep across home plate. We're working on 3:45 here in Chicago. And Keith Moreland takes a look out at Worrell. Blazing fastball for a strike. Moreland 0 for 3. Hit the ball very hard last time up in the 6th inning, lining out to Ozzie Smith. Outfield deep and straight away for Keith. He's in a hole, 0-2. Your most memorable game in Wrigley Field, you remember it?
Yeah, the first game of the playoffs.
Rick Sutcliffe on the mound. Which playoff?
First, yeah, Sutcliffe hit that monster home run.
Boy, it sure looked good when it was 2-0, didn't it?
I'll tell you, that was the greatest day I've ever spent in Cubs Park.
A very exciting day.
I saw people crying. Of course, they were crying a few days later, too,
a lot of
but
them
for
crying
different
after
reasons.
the 5th game also.
Yeah.
Well, little offense, some good pitching, and there's no reason why the Cubs can't be back. 4-2 Cardinal lead. We're in the bottom of the 8th. Line drive center field. Willie McGee can't get to it. It falls in front of him, and Moreland's aboard.
That's what I like about Moreland. 2 strikes on him, a real good pitcher out there, and he just makes contact.
He's as tough as they come, and as you said before, a situational hitter, a man who has an idea every time he goes to bat and every count what he's going to do with the ball.
Right.
Cubs are 1 swing away from tying this game up as Leon Durham steps up. He's walked twice. He's 0 for 1. And the Bull looks at one low and in. Happy birthday to a diehard Cub fan, Dominic Gattoni. Good cut by Leon, fouled it straight back. He didn't miss that one by much. Happy birthday to the mother of Marty Mabry, one of our cameramen, Gene Mabry, watching in Scottsdale, Arizona, where there's many Cub fans. Didn't mean to swing and fouls it off. Leon's in a hole, 1-2.
Now this is where you want to see him go with the pitch. And I'd like to see him go toward left field.
Well, he can take it out that way. As we've seen, the ball will go out. The wind blowing out toward left. There's a good look at Tony Pena. Moreland with a short lead at first. Outfield very deep for Durham. Ground ball in the hole, base hit. Moreland's going to round second base and hold right there. Tito Landrum gets the ball in. And the Cubs have runners at first and second, only 1 out. They have greeted Mr. Todd Worrell rudely.
I'll take right field, too. He must have had him shaded over quite a bit, the second baseman, if we can see it on the replay, because that, I would think.
Ask and ye shall receive. Arnie Harris with the replay.
No, he pulled it past him.
Dave Martinez, 0 for 3, steps up. Outfield around toward left center field. Not very deep for Martinez. Fastball misses up and in. 1-0. Pitchers of record: Steve Trout for the Cubs, Danny Cox for the Cardinals. Good fastball for a strike, 1-1. There's a look at Frank DePino warming up in the bullpen. Sean Dunston in the on-deck circle, and the Cubs making some noise. They were held with 1 hit through 7 till Andre Dawson's home run here in the 8th inning. Since then, a single by Moreland, a single by Durham, and the Cubs are threatening. Swing and a miss. 1-2. Well, the last 2 guys had 2 strike base hits. See if David can come through. Fouled it back. You've got to watch Tony Pena in this situation. Leon Durham at first base, and many times Pena will throw behind the base runner. And now here comes Jack Clark to talk with Todd Worrell. He might have missed a sign. That happens sometimes. With Tony Pena behind the plate and the left-hand hitter up, he'll just step out, flip the ball behind him. And the best way to get out of any jam is to pick somebody off. There's a look at Gene Michael. Jody Davis behind him. And Herm Starrett, his pitching coach, to his right. Missing high and away, 2-2.
Kind of a tough situation for a young player early in the season.
A lot of pressure on Dave. A lot of pressure on him just to get established in the major leagues.
Right.
Now he's hitting in really one of the first critical situations for the Cubs in 1987. Fouled off once again, so Martinez hanging tough. This is how they earn their salaries, Mike. Right here.
Hanging tough.
Big situations. Battling a guy like Worrell.
And sometimes a hit for a young ball player, I think, in a situation like this can get him moving.
Moreland leads away at second. Durham leads away at first. 2-2 count on Martinez. Fouled back once again. Back in your softball days, you ever have any situations like these?
Yeah, but in softball, if you felt nervous, you just went over and had a beer.
Can't very well do that here, huh? Looking at Tony Pena. Man on second, so he gives a set of signs to Worrell. Strike 3 through the fastball by him. Nothing fancy about that, just Powder River, and Dave Martinez goes down. First strikeout for Worrell. And now a meeting at the mound and Sean Dunston up. You know, when you saw Dunston came up, you saw him as really a big bundle of raw talent. What do you think about him now?
Well, I think there's still you know, a lot of rough edges. I also kind of saw him as a bundle of raw nerves very often. But he seems to be calming down a little bit. And I think the only thing he's got to do is learn to make the routine plays. Just, you know, the simple play to first base, which seems to give him problems, and lay off of those outside pitches.
2 on, 2 out, and the Cubs one swing away from the bat of going up in this one. The go-ahead run at the plate in the person of Sean Dunston, and Tony Pena out to talk with Todd Worrell.
And I also think he has so much natural talent. He was so precocious as a athlete. When he was so young, he was so good that he may have thought things might be a little easier for him.
That's a good point.
And when he ran into problems, I think it might have got him down.
You know, when you are that good, you dominate every league you're in, and suddenly you get to a point where you can't dominate, and it's frustrating, and I think that happened to him. Slider misses away. 1-0 count on Dunston. Jim Sundberg in the on-deck circle. There you look at the situation with 2 on and 2 out. Foul back. Good cut by Dunston. Frank DiPino continues to throw in the bullpen. Dunston looking down at John Vukovic, but there's no signs here. The sign is hit the ball out of the ballpark and put us on top.
Hit it somewhere.
Preferably away from Ozzie Smith. Outfield very deep for Dunston. Ground ball right at Worrell, and he's going to get out of it. But the Cubs get a run on 3 hits. The home run by Andre Dawson. They leave 2. And at the end of 8 full innings, the Cardinals on top 4-2. We head into the top of the 9th inning, and it's going to be Tito Landrum, Willie McGee, and Vince Coleman to face Dickie Knowles. Cardinals on top 4-2. Cubs have been out hit 8-4. Pays to be honest, just playing hooky. Well, I understand as a ball player, used to be a pretty good one in your youth.
Oh, yeah, as a softball player, I was still hitting the ball well when I was in my late 40s, but...
High bounder right at Dunston. He'll make the play easily. Yeah, but how about hardball?
Yeah, I played baseball, a lot of baseball as a young guy, but I was very slow, and I had the worst arm you ever saw, and I had bad hands.
So you're talking about timing. In other words, if a DH had been invented at that point, you might have had a career.
Yeah, I might have made it as a DH.
1 out in the top of the 9th, and Willie McGee steps up. He came in the lineup in a flip-flop when Danny Cox left the ball game. There you look at the numbers last year for McGee, well down from his MVP year in 1985 when he hit .353 and was all everything in the National League. McGee coming back from surgery and hitting second in the lineup behind Vince Coleman. They provide a formidable duo with a ton of speed at the top of the order for the Cardinals. Breaking ball misses away, and the count evens at 1-1. Fouled off to the left, 1-2. Dickie knows a great story of a man turning around his life, battling back from a lot of adversity, having a good enough spring to make this ball club, signed a 1-year contract just before the end of spring training. And he strikes him out, and Jim Sundberg applies the tag. So 2 up and 2 down in the 9th. And we go to the top of the order, and Vince Coleman, who's 1 for 3 with a base on balls. He scored 2 runs, stolen 4 bases. He's done it all with his speed today at the top of the order. Boston rookie Danny Schaefer hit his first major league home run to tie Milwaukee 11-11 in the bottom of the 7th inning.
Now that's a good ball game.
Now there's some good pitching. Exciting for the fans, tough on the earned run average. Ozzie Smith on deck, Dickie Knowles hoping to end it right here. Breaking ball up high. Knowles looking a lot sharper today than he did opening day. Good fastball for a strike. Outfield straight away. Andre Dawson very shallow in right field. Good breaking ball, 1-2. New York Mets have defeated the Pittsburgh Pirates 4-2. Minnesota over Oakland 5-4. Detroit over New York 9-3. Cleveland defeated Toronto 14-3. Pitch fouled off. A nice play by Ozzie, who can pick him regardless of where he's standing.
Well, if Coleman continues stealing bases at this pace, what do we have, 600 at the end of the year?
Yes. I think 4 a day might be a little ambitious, but sometimes you want to throw the ball to third to cut him off. Breaking ball misses outside. He creates so many opportunities, Mike, because a lot of times a pitcher will balk, take his concentration away from the next hitter, and if he gets on, you have a tendency to see more fastballs down in the order. Hitters become better behind Coleman if he gets on base. And Dickie Knowles doesn't want to walk him here because you can bet if he does, Coleman's going to be stealing on the first or second pitch.
Well, Jim Fry said he used to try to water the area around some of the bases to slow him down. I think we ought to put down a little quicksand, just enough.
High bounder right at Sandberg. Easy play. They'll retire Coleman. 3 up and 3 down. And the Cubs move into the bottom of the 9th with the Cardinals on top 4-2. The on-deck circle. He'll come on to hit second. Trio had a fine year for the Cubs last year, doing just about everything that Gene Michael asked of him. And he looks at a fastball away. He's a guy like Moreland that hits in situations. He's not going to swing at any bad pitches. He's going to make the pitcher work.
Right. He's a wonderful guy to have on the bench because he can do so many things.
Good fastball for a strike. 1-1 count on Manny Trio. Lee Smith up and throwing in the Cubs bullpen. And for Whitey Herzog and the Cardinals, it's all Todd Worrell. Fly ball center field. Willie McGee on the run, calling for it, and he makes the catch. Well, we have an opportunity. A special thanks once again to Mike Royko. Friday night, the syndicated columnist George Will is going to join us in Philadelphia. On Saturday, George Wendt of Cheers and Danny Breen, the former Second City star, will be joining us. And Sunday afternoon, NBC's Bob Costas. And the Detroit Tigers Hall of Fame broadcaster Ernie Harwell on Monday. Gary Matthews with 1 down in the 9th inning. Looks at a fastball high. Just missing outside. Well, the Sarge has had some leg problems. Those have been well chronicled, but there's nothing wrong with his bat. He is a good clutch hitter. One of the best eyes in baseball, and Gary Matthews. 2-1 count. Chico Walker in the on-deck circle. Matthews trying to get on and keep things alive. Swing and a miss. Blazing fastball. You seen many guys throw harder than this guy?
Well, I would want to be around him if they were.
He can rush it up there. He and Lee Smith, 2 of the hardest throwers in the game. Foul tip. Pena hangs on, and Gary Matthews down on strikes. Cubs down to their last out, and it's going to be Chico Walker, who's had a rough afternoon. 0 for 4. Trying to keep it alive for Sandberg. And a look at Todd Worrell. Nothing wrong with his arm. Worrell came on in the 8th inning in relief of Bill Dolly, who gave up a home run to Andre Dawson. He was greeted by Keith Moreland, who singled, and Leon Durham, who singled, and that's been it. Fastball up, 1-0. Cardinals trying to go 2-0, and conversely, the Cubs threatened with an 0-2 start. There's a bunt, and it's a good one.
He'll beat it out. He'll beat it out.
They can't get him.
He's got it.
Base hit, Chico Walker, and he does what he had to do. Keep it alive for Ryne Sandberg. Good heads-up play by Chico Walker.
They didn't expect it. That's obvious.
Fine effort by Todd Worrell, diving and trying to make that play, but Chico Walker with too much speed. And Ryne Sandberg with a great hand from the crowd. Cubs 1 swing away from tying it up. They trail by 2. Sandberg with a home run in the 6th inning. 1 for 3 and looking for the long ball. Andre Dawson on deck. Rhino can keep it alive. Well, regardless of what happens in the course of the ball game, the Cubs over the last couple of years, Mike, have been able to make a run at it in the late innings. Give the fans something to stand up and cheer about. And they're at it once again here. Good fastball for a strike. Clark paying no attention to Chico Walker at first base. Jim Snyder now talking to him about Pena thrown behind him. Swing and a miss. Good hard slider. Cubs have been out hit 8-5. They trail on the scoreboard 4-2. Called. Sandberg left standing by Todd Worrell, his first save. The win goes to Danny Cox. And we'll be back with the wrap-up after these messages. Steve Stone back along with Mike Royko. And Mike, already you're up in the booth just a little bit and you're an expert color man. There was nothing to it, was there?
Not much. I just kept my mouth shut as often as I could.
But it's a lot of fun up here, a different perspective on the game.
Yeah. And it was a good game. The downside was we lost, but that'll happen many times over a year. The upside was I thought Trout pitched well. He wasn't really beaten by hitting. He was beaten by base running.
And from what you've seen of this Cubs offense, Andre Dawson has to be a big addition to this team.
Oh, yeah, Dawson. It was nice seeing that home run. Sort of a preview.
Well, Mike, thank you very much. Thanks for sitting in for Harry, and hopefully we'll be able to do this again sometime.
Okay, it'll be great.
And stay with us. The Cubs go down to defeat 4-2, and we'll be back with more in the 10th inning after these messages.